The scene and weapons that will be sheared into your memory isn't a jump scare. It's not a big monster reveal or a plot twist you saw coming. It's the moment the children turn on their captor. But what if this horrifying act of violence is more than just a scare? What if it's a carefully constructed metaphor for the death of innocence, like a calm river being dammed up until it bursts forth as a destructive flash flood? The film's most chilling moment isn't just about the gut punch horror of the act, but the symbolic weight of these kids swarming and tearing apart their captor with their bare hands. In this video, we're going to explore why the children did that to the witch and what it says about the film's haunting message. Just a heads up, this video is loaded with major spoilers for all of Weapons. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it and come right back. You've been warned. Director Zach Cregger, who completely flipped the script with Barbarian, has a very specific style. He doesn't just build plots. He loves to mess with our expectations and tap into deep-seated psychological fears. In Barbarian, it was the fear of what's behind a locked door. With Weapons, Cregger explores a different kind of horror, the corruption of the safest and the purest among us. The movie kicks off with a terrifying mystery. At exactly 2:17 a.m., 17 kids from the same third grade class all get out of bed, walk out of their homes, and just vanish. All except for one boy, Alex Lilly. This event sends the small town of Maybrook into a tailspin of grief and paranoia. The film isn't just a monster movie. It's a thriller told from multiple perspectives, showing how a community falls apart when faced with something unthinkable. At the center of it all is a parasitic witch named Gladys, who spins her web of control like a spider, and a group of children she's turned into mindless tools for her will. To really get the brutal climax, you first have to understand the system of control that Gladys builds. Posing as Alex's sickly, estranged aunt, Gladys is a master of manipulation. Played with a chilling mix of weakness and pure menace by Amy Madigan, Gladys is an ancient entity who needs to feed on the life force of others to survive. She's like a battery that can only recharge by draining the life from everyone around her. When she first shows up at Alex's house, she's frail and looks close to death. But as soon as she puts Alex's parents under her spell, turning them into glassy-eyed, motionless husks, she starts to look younger and healthier. This is how her power works. Control equals life. She doesn't just want to survive, she needs to dominate others to do it. Her methods are straight out of classic folklore. She uses personal items, like a lock of hair and thorny twigs smeared with her own blood to cast her spells. The film shows this control in a really disturbing way. Alex's parents just sit there, catatonic, while their own son is forced to feed them soup. This flips the parent-child dynamic on its head, turning the child into the caregiver. It's not just supernatural puppetry. It's like watching an invasive species take over a garden, strangling the native plants and completely shattering its natural order. Gladys's control is absolute, and she enforces it with brutal emotional blackmail. She enchants people to become violent weapons, a grotesque display of power designed not just to horrify, but to enslave Alex through fear. He becomes her unwilling helper, tasked with stealing personal items from his classmates, a hairbrush, a toy, a piece of clothing, so Gladys can expand her web. This task transforms Alex. His silence is weaponized and he becomes a key part of her terrifying machine. The other children, once summoned, are hidden in the basement, standing completely motionless, stripped of their identities. They become a silent, living power plant for the witch. The film's title, Weapons, refers directly to this transformation. The children are no longer individuals. They are human drones that Gladys can aim at anyone who gets in her way. Horror has always known how powerful it is to corrupt the innocence, taking the image of a child, something we link with hope and purity, and twisting it into something monstrous is like poisoning a well. It contaminates the very source of life. It's about perverting the natural order and the anxiety that the next generation could be lost to darkness. Weapons uses this idea, not as a cheap scare, but to build its central theme. The film takes its time showing us the before. We see Maybrook as a normal suburban town, a place where the biggest worries are little league games and school events. The kids are just kids. This normalcy is what makes their transformations so horrifying. When they disappear, the first wave of terror is the parents' loss, especially for Archer Graff, played by Josh Brolin. He represents the desperate, useless attempt to find control in a situation that makes no sense. But the real horror is what the children become. They don't just go missing, they are fundamentally altered. When they're finally found in Alex's basement, they aren't crying or scared. They are catatonic, empty vessels. Their innocence wasn't just lost, it was consumed. Gladys didn't just smash a precious vase, she grounded up the pieces and used the dust as raw material for her own power. This process is the heart of the movie. The children aren't just victims, they are a resource being harvested. Gladys's evil isn't random, it's systematic. She saw a classroom of kids not as lives to be cherished, but as a crop to be reaped. By forcing Alex to help her, she corrupts him too, making him a participant in the destruction of his own generation's innocence. The film argues that true evil isn't just about causing pain, but about taking the good in the world and using it as fuel. The blank stares of the children are more chilling than any monster because they represent the void where a soul should be. This all leads to the film's climax, one of the most brutal and cathartic scenes in recent horror. Cornered in the house, Alex finally turns the tables. He manages to get a strand of Gladys's hair from her wig and, using the same magic he was forced to learn, wraps it around one of her own thorny branches and snaps it. He weaponizes the witch's own tools against her, like using a snake's own venom to create an anti-venom. What happens next is an incredible go-for-broke sequence. Gladys, feeling her control break and turn against her, runs from the house in terror, and then the children emerge from the basement. This is the moment the dam breaks. The power she held back is now unleashed with unstoppable force. They pour out of the house, a horde of determined figures, smashing through windows and breaking down doors in pursuit. The violence is raw and unflinching. When they finally catch her, they don't just kill her. They tear her apart with their bare hands in a furious swarm. This moment is so chilling because it works on two levels at once. On one hand, it's cathartic. The oppressor is being destroyed by the very victim she made. It's a primal reclaiming of power. On the other hand, the act itself is monstrous. We are watching children commit an act of unbelievable brutality. There's no joy on their faces, no relief. They are simply carrying out a final command, like wind-up toys set on a destructive path. They are free, but they had to become monsters to do it. This scene is the horrific endpoint of Gladys's control. She wanted to turn children into weapons, and she succeeded. The final, awful irony is that she became their last target. But weapons doesn't give us a simple, happy ending. Gladys's death breaks the spell, but it doesn't fix the damage. The children stop their attack and immediately go back into a catatonic state. It's like a wildfire that has finally been extinguished. The fire is gone, but the forest is a wasteland of blackened trees and scorched earth. In the film's haunting epilogue, we learn that while the children were returned to their families, the damage was permanent. Some never spoke again, while others took a long time to learn how to speak again. Alex's parents, who were under the spell the longest, are sent to a mental hospital, remaining vacant and unresponsive. The final shot lingers on the face of one of the rescued children, his eyes empty, suggesting that even though he's home, he may never truly be back. This is the film's devastating final statement on control. You can break the chains, but the scars remain. The town is left with a trauma that will stay with it for generations. The children's violent act against the witch wasn't just a moment of horror. It was the physical explosion of their stolen innocence turning into rage. They had to destroy their humanity to reclaim their freedom. They won, but in doing so, they lost a part of themselves they can never get back. Zach Cregger leaves us with an unsettling question. When you've been turned into a weapon, what happens when the war is over? The answer is a quiet, lingering horror that stays with you long after the credits roll. But what's your take? Do you think that the climax was a tragic loss of innocence or a moment of righteous, justified fury? Let me know your theory in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.